Welcome to the Gaggle, where we talk politics beyond what's in print. Dustin, this week it looks as though a long-awaited piece of legislation that would affect legislative immunity may be dead. What's going on there?
Yeah, so legislative immunity, people might remember there was a big controversy last year with a speeding lawmaker who invoked this immunity to avoid a speeding ticket. Basically, this is a privilege in the state constitution that lets lawmakers not get arrested while they're in session or 15 days before or after. There's a bill that would repeal that or ask voters to repeal that. That bill looks like it's not going to get any hearing.
What's the backstory there?
So House Speaker Rusty Bowers has decided that he's not going to schedule a hearing on this. Representative T.J. Shope had brought the bill to repeal the immunity. Bowers doesn't want any hearing on that because he says that this is basically a separation of powers issue. He feels like there's a good reason this law is in place.
Speaking of laws, members of Congress may be looking for pieces of legislation or new policy after reporting that found Argosy may have some funky issues with financial aid. What's happening there?
So I've heard from many dozens of students at this point who have not gotten their financial aid payout that they were supposed to get. You're supposed to get it within 14 days after the semester starts. We're now nearing the end of February, so it's been more than a month. They're missing rent payments, they haven't bought their books, they haven't been able to pay car payments, things like that. And a couple members of Congress have asked for an investigation by the Department of Education, U.S. Department of Education's Inspector General, into all this basically financial mess that Argosy University and its parent company appear to be in at this point.
How might that end?
It's completely unclear. It does seem at this point that the students will not get the money, and the Department of Ed has said, we'll forgive your loans, but in the immediate, that means people don't have money for rent, they don't have money for car payments, they're in an extreme financial hardship at this point.
We'll be following your coverage, and we'll be following your stories. Dennis, you had a pretty explosive front page story about folks for 2 decades being exposed to uranium.
Yeah, this is the health and safety officer at Grand Canyon National Park discovered or learned of 3 buckets of uranium in a collectibles museum, which isn't a regular place that tourists go, but there are some tours brought through there and there's workers in there, so thousands of people, he believes, may have been exposed to radiation levels that are unsafe. So that's half the problem. The other half of the problem is he believes that the National Park Service has tried to cover this up for months and failed to disclose it to the public.
Do we have a sense whether or not that's true?
We don't know for sure. Just we know what radiation readings they got, and we know what the safety levels are set by OSHA, but I've been getting a lot of feedback from physicists who say this is being overblown kind of thing. So it's unclear to me exactly how unsafe this was, and I think it's also unclear what's going to happen. Right now it's under investigation by National Park Service and OSHA and the Arizona Radiation Regulatory Agency. They're expected to have some kind of report back in the spring. In the meantime, everybody's kind of in limbo saying what's going on. This gentleman, his name is Elston Stephenson, who is the safety manager up at the canyon. He went so far as to contact every member of Congress with this information.
So what are members of Congress saying?
Right now, I haven't gotten any of them, so I don't know. That's one thing I'm really trying to get.
Well, we'll be following your coverage and the rest of y'all's. You can follow it on AZ Central, Facebook, and Twitter. See you next week.